Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Um, Everyone, of course, is in up in arms about the vaccines, and we're going to get into that, of course. And I've predicted this current situation since 2019. Nobody heeded my warnings back then, and I certainly hope they will be looked at now, wherever you are in the world, because yeah, there has there has been a lot going on. The world is in chaos, and I don't watch any news because I don't let the negativity in. Like, there's only so much, any individual can do, you know, and really streamlining a lot of information, especially if you don't have a way to process that information properly, it's not going to do any good. But, of course, I've said this in a reel before. My reels are usually short, and here's where I go to give longer explanations and factual statements on the findings that I've did. And a lot of the things, and I gotta mention, Abba and Preach on there, a show which I love, and of course there are some things that aren't true, which they have personally stated are factual. Nothing against those brothers, absolutely not. I love their perspective, and as again, I love their perspectives on, you know, uh, the subjects and the things that they deal with, and the subjects that are interesting to enhance other people's perspectives and to give a broader picture of what another culture or another uh, geographical group of people in the world are going through. But of course, where I'm saying that where there are things that are factually not true about that particular show is, of course, there's opinions on statistics. Now, statistics are like anything. All right, they're a symbol. All right, they're a symbol to measure things. You know, like Alan Watts said it very beautifully. Like, all symbols that we created in this world are a form of measurement. Now, just because they're measurements doesn't always mean they're accurate measurements. For example, I watched with my grandmother some news the other day, and they were promoting the vaccines, which, of course, they're going to do because that's what the system needs, that's what the system requires to promote set content or set product such amount of times that you'll gain interest into learning more about it, so you can buy off the vaccine or any set given product. Now, coming back to statistics, everything we are experiencing now, and this has been, you've seen this happen in politics, you've seen this happen within articles, you've seen this happen with information. For example, Chris Cuomo, mayor of New York, is being held accountable and have a lawsuit against him for lying about 50% of all the COVID deaths. All right? Because according to the statistics, the number of deaths being recorded were not accurate according to what the reality was. And the reality was that there are a lot of people have died, but 50% of them were actually not COVID related. And in order to promote a hidden agenda, of course, or to promote, a streamlined idea of what you want the public to do, of course, you have to manipulate set um, set statistics in order to get across what you want to come across. And what I'm getting to Ab and Preach about for, and again, this is no disrespect to these brothers whatsoever, but I've witnessed it personally, in the Netherlands, where they were saying, yeah, the economy is getting better. Like from 2014 till now, They were saying the economy is getting better. The economy is getting better. Statistics have shown that the economy is getting better. For who? Because people right now, and this is pre-COVID, we're in the worst economic situation ever. But yet they're saying out there the economy is getting better. For who? And a lot of these statistics are just being manipulated in order to, put out an agenda or put out a idea and state it as a fact and package it nicely as such. But getting back to the whole vaccine issue, because I saw the commercial and it said 95% of all vaccinations have been approved or have been successful. How can that be when only 20% of the population of that particular country have been vaccinated? You see where I'm getting that? 20, 95. Two different numbers. One's bigger than the other, right? So, yeah. And even with coming back to statistics and how they really have nothing to do with reality, I'll give you a practical example, all right? I lived in Rotterdam, all right? I lived in Rotterdam for like 3.5 years. And in these 3.5 years, I've seen a lot of shifts. Even though statistics had said that the economy was getting better, I see people get poorer and being able to do less with minimum wage as you could 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Like back when I was in college, 1,500 euros a month. You were like the richest man because you could do a lot of stuff. Now, granted, you couldn't do everything, but you could do a lot of stuff. Now in Rotterdam, when I was coming back for the first time in the 3.5 years I've been there, I've seen homeless people walking about begging for change. First time ever. Now, I'm not saying good, bad, or I'm not saying that there wasn't poverty before, but it was definitely the first time where I had seen such major shift, which accurately stated that, statistics don't have anything to do with reality. As a matter of fact, it's like everything else. Everything is being manipulated. Politics have been manipulated. I mean, we've seen that in America. We've seen that happen in other parts of the world where politics are putting out their own hidden agenda in order to promote themselves and not really, get the interests of the people in heart. And who are they to blame? Because we all look for someone to blame, but in the end, it's really the system. It's really the system that has been outdated and not updated to come with the current changes that are happening. And now getting back to the whole vaccination thing, it's a confrontation on all levels. Because even though you should be free to decide what you do with your body, whether to go to the gym or not, whether to feed it the right amount of nutrition or not, that is all up to you. And having people dictate what I should or should not put in my body just doesn't sit well with me. Even though I'm against drugs, and I personally have not ever been fond of taking drugs. However, I'm not going to tell you should or should not do it. That's the power of free will. That is your choice. But having other people tell me, and especially governments telling me what I should or should not put in my body, because they're making it seem like it's your choice, when really it's not. And they're using the statistics to manipulate you or to make you think that it has anything to do with the current situation. Like even in my travels, right? Because the majority of the lockdown I was traveling, and the first lockdown I experienced 6 months of it in London. Then back and forth, I got to see a little bit of what happened in the Netherlands and London as well, until I went to the Canary Islands. And I've seen a lot of transformation happen in that time, and really making sure that the information is so wishy-washy at this point. And not saying I'm doing a better job, but I'm saying like I have got to know my body over the 4 years. Why? Because I challenged it. Whether it was in the gym, whether it was outside the gym, whether it was during my travels, whether it was situations where I wasn't able to go to the gym all the time, or whether, I had to find my own creative ways to be able to keep my life going. And coming back to the vaccine, it is an issue on a lot of levels. And even vaccination has become so politicized at the moment that they will call you out if you don't make the choice that benefits them. Make the choice that benefits you. And do the proper research and learn to think for yourself. Learn to think for yourself. Because if you go off by what your environment is telling you, a lot of them, they just want to keep you caged. A lot of people are being caged and a lot of stuff. And that happened before Corona. I mean, that is nothing new, unfortunately. I love that song of Future called Mask Off. It's because people had on their masks way before Corona. All right, all the whole situation with Corona and everything around it really did was to unmask a lot of the issues that were being pushed to the side. Things such as systemic, racism, faults in our political and philosophical way of thinking, and how our words do not correlate with our actions. That even though things are written in paper, that they can still be manipulated to do the complete opposite. And you see that happen where in the United States, it's no surprise where they say everyone is equal except the ones who we think are beneath us. And of course, that has been a lot of the times people who look like me. And I've had this conversation, because I really wouldn't call it a discussion or a debate, because there's nothing to discuss or debate in reality. If you're human, or if you feel like, you have human interest at the forefront and not necessarily your own interest. And it's hard for me to tell you how to do that, because I'm being natural, authentic self, and I don't know why I should even tell you to be anything different than who you are. Everyone wants to be like someone else, and no one wants to be themselves. And that's a line from the Punisher series with John Berthal, and I forgot the guy's name, but I know he's Jamaican. He said that line. It was a very beautiful line, and one of those that really stuck with me. I'm a big movie nut as well, so you might see me review some movies in the future, but that is something else entirely. But coming back to the statistics, and I have to mention, of course, ABBA and Preach again. Again, I love their show, and I love everything that they've put out there. I'm one of their daily fans. I watch it every day. But there are definitely inconsistencies out there when it comes to statistics. Now, for example, one of the other things they use in statistics, other than what I've said, about the vaccines and how they're promoting it and how they're using statistics to manipulate the situation. One of their topics that they used was single parent homes, which again I find fascinating, because I know people in real life, family members. I have two cousins. They're all female, and they each have one kid. and they both decided that, they're living a single parent household. The kids are not suffering. I mean, I visit them not as often as I should, but I've seen enough of them to know that, hey, these kids are doing great. They're doing great in school. They have great social relationships, and their fathers are present in their life, and they are helping out financially. The only difference is they're not living together, and they don't have ill will towards each other. Neither the father nor the mother. This is something I've seen with my own eyes. And to say that statistics show that the opposite is the case really goes to show that statistics really have nothing to do with reality as much as you can study. And which is what I've said in a post earlier before. Like, you can absorb all the information you want. You can do all the extensive studies. But if it's being done from a 4-room wall, and you don't go out in the field and actually go around and, really look at people's lives and seeing that what you're putting out as a study is actually true, because a lot of what's being put out there has nothing to do with reality, and certainly not statistics, and certainly not different types of studies that really have nothing to do to reflect reality, but merely show a agenda that they want to portray, and they want to use a bunch of symbolism to promote it. That is pretty much it. And again, coming to Abba and preach again, like, hey guys, I don't want to put you guys in a negative light. Absolutely not. It's just that certain things that have been put out as statistical facts just been shown to have been not true. I mean, especially if you look at, of course, this is something I don't like to use, but you have to use it anyway. Like, stating that a certain percentage of African Americans are more likely to commit crime. Not the case. Not the case. Now, if you were to say that certain African Americans do petty crimes, that could be the case, could not be. But we all know the major crimes aren't being happening by African Americans, although it's been promoted so much on TV and in other forms of media that really you were thinking that to be true, when in reality it's not that case at all. So when they talking to me about statistics, and when they're talking to me about the media, it's like, really, I'm like, think for yourself on that issue. And the same goes back to the whole vaccination thing. When really look at if these statistics are correct, because a lot of it is just being sucked out of each other's thumbs and really has nothing to do with reality. Because let's face it or not, everything that has been done up to now is to promote a certain narrative. Everything that Western European societies have done, and they've done some horrible things, was to promote a certain narrative. And that narrative is being checked on heavily by the universe, by God, Allah, Buddha, whatever you believe in, because people want to deny spirituality. People want to deny that the laws of universal karma don't have something to say, that we can just do whatever we want and that there will be no consequences. Which is why I'm telling people every time, we learn nothing from history, and thus history is doomed to repeat itself. Except if we don't do something right now, we're going to make a mistake that there is no coming back from. Now, everything thus in 2019 from 2019 up till now that has happened, that I thought would happen, has happened. Now, whether you want to call me psychic or whether you want to call me spiritually whatever, that is entirely up to the individual. But when you understand your own patterns, like I said, when you understand who you really are, it's easy to see where we have gone wrong, if you look at our history, and where we can do better moving forward in the future. But it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us. And having a personal ideology only fueled by a narrative that only has served to fill up the ego of European descendants and other peoples who have conformed to that same narrative, thinking that that narrative was going to lead them to the life that they want to live, because a lot of people are finding out the complete opposite. Marriages are being fallen apart because they realize, other than financial issues, that the way that they thought they ought to live their lives isn't really authentic to who they are. And I said this in the last post too. It's not authentic to who you really are. A lot of people have been streamlined into living their lives a certain way that really has nothing to do with their authentic self. And only through experience, only through discovering your own spirituality and how you make that fit into your own personal life, because whatever group, whatever tribal group you may want to conform to, whether it's the African American descendants, or whether you want to be fit person, whether you want to be yoga person, whether you want to be spirit person, that is that is entirely up for you to decide. But that is, can you do it while, not harming the environment that you're in? And not only your outer environment, but also your inner environment. Now I'm talking about your body, I'm talking about your mind, I'm talking about your spirit. Can you do that without harming too much? Look, no experience has ever been gained from not making a mistake, or not having harmed yourself, or not having harmed someone else. And I'm talking, could be anything. Could be physically, could be emotionally, could be spiritually, mentally, But we have the chance right now to do it without having to do that much harm to one another. I mean, YouTube, Instagram, social media has given us all of that, has given us all the tools we needed in order for each other to figure that out and how to make that happen. However, are we willing to put our own interests aside? And this is one of my brothers in Atlanta that I said this to, because he said, like, hey, I want to do something great, I want to do something big, but I'm scared. I'm scared to die. I'm scared to lose. I'm scared to... It's not about that. It's about, if you're going to do something, are you doing it just to benefit you? And if you want to benefit humanity, nothing, whatever you want to do in this life, nothing has been done or made without sacrifice. No accomplishment have been made without sacrifice. Sacrificing time with the people around you, sacrificing time with family, and yeah, that's the choice you have to make.